Hey Google, can you help me brainstorm a disclaimer for this video that I'm about to film?
Sure, I can help with that. What kind of content are you planning to include? Knowing the theme or what might be considered sensitive or surprising will help tailor the disclaimer properly. For a video with those sensitive themes, a clear and prominent disclaimer is important. You could say something like, content warning. This video discusses topics of sexual assault and domestic violence. Viewer discretion is advised. Resources are available in the description for support. This approach clearly identifies the subject matter without graphic language, while also offering help to viewers.
Thanks, Gemini. That'll be all for right now. I'll probably talk to you after I finish filming.
You're welcome. Take care, and good luck with your video. I'll be here if you need anything else.
We're gonna talk about the year I got my eyebrow scar. The January after which I gave birth. I initially recorded this video already, but it was a very different setup. It was like I literally hit record and started talking in the moment. And I was having amnesia, but I'm not having amnesia right now that I'm aware of. None that's relevant. I mean, there is a bit of amnesia, but we'll get to that later. It's a bit of amnesia that all of us that are integrated are having. So we can switch to every single alter who's part of the system that we know, all the integrated alters, and not a single one of them so far has memory of this particular event that we see written down in a text message. But let me pull up the transcript from the last time I recorded this video. I recorded it January 27th at around 1 in the morning, and I finished up at 1:45 in the morning. It was an hour and 11 minutes long. I'm going to try to keep it shorter than that. The eyebrow scar. Y'all have seen it 1,000 times when I'm doing my makeup. Let's talk about it. If you're not comfortable hearing about domestic violence and high-risk pregnancies, don't watch this video. Scroll away now. I'm going to gather my thoughts while you scroll away. If you're still watching, thank you for having the patience and the understanding and the strength to hear my story. I figured out I have amnesia still going on after discovering the amnesia, but I'm kind of glad that I don't remember what happened. The only reason I know it happened is because I saw a screenshot of a text conversation, I'm reading off of this phone, by the way, where I described several details of an event that was a crime committed against me. One of my alters supplied a funny euphemism we can use, the naked crime. Forever calling it the naked crime now. I should not be laughing during this video. This is a very serious video. I cope with humor. I'm going to use the word allegedly simply because a conviction has not been brought forth. I don't know what to call it. The person in question has not been convicted of any crimes because I haven't even made a police report yet. So he only allegedly did any of these things until there's a conviction. You cannot say that someone committed the naked crime until they're committed. He is the one that gave me the eyebrow scar. I did not realize until January 27th that I was already pregnant when he gave me the eyebrow scar. And I found that out today because I was digging through Google Photos. I was trying to find anything in January that might be causing all the flashbacks that I'm having recently. When I recorded this video, I did not find anything in the Google Photos memories from January, but since talking to all the integrated alters, I, Zafira, know for a fact that the January snowstorm in Texas, we were snowed in with S. We were calling him S for anonymity's sake. but he's the one that gave us this eyebrow scar. We were snowed into a motel together, which is weird. I don't remember why I wasn't. Maybe my place was frozen too? I don't know. Everywhere was frozen during that storm. But I was holed up with him, and that was the first time we had an altercation. And he didn't put hands on us, but he almost did. Like, he geared up to do so. While I was recording this video that I'm reading the transcript from, I was pacing all over the place. I'm sitting down for this one. It's hard to carry a phone while also carrying a phone, if that makes sense. So I've got the tripod set up. I've been having increasing amounts of flashbacks as we get closer to the end of January, and I thought this could be related to the fact that my mom passed away a year ago. After midnight on the 27th, a year ago, my mom passed away. It was sunrise. It was tragic that she was in a coma for 10 days leading up to it, but I would rather her be in a coma than conscious after the injuries she sustained in the car accident. But that's not what this video is about. I thought maybe these flashbacks I've been having recently are related to just the stress of, the anniversary coming around. Where did I put... I need to hydrate my lips. So back to the transcript. I was like, okay, well, if something happened in January, the Google Photos from that month will tell me what happened. So I look at January of 2021. Nothing in January 2021 happened. The search for anything in January that happened made me curious about when I got my eyebrow scar, so I looked it up when it happened, and it happened April, between the hours of 11 p.m. of April 19th and 11 a.m. 12 p.m. of April 21st, so about April 20th. I know it happened in the dark, after dark, because I had to go home in the dark. I got my eyebrow scar, so on the 20th-ish. That's fine and dandy. I knew I got an eyebrow scar allegedly from this person, let's call him S. S's genetic material and my genetic material created a child in my body. Roe v. Wade had been repealed, and even though it hadn't taken effect yet that it was repealed, I was smart enough not to terminate. In hindsight, that was the right choice, because if I had terminated it, they would retroactively prosecute me for the murder of an infant. And I was only a month pregnant. I found out I was a month pregnant on May 9th. It was Mother's Day. I was handcuffed to a hospital bed because I refused to get help, and I really needed help. S had to call 911. It might have been the landlord, but I believe S was there. Anyway, I go to the hospital in handcuffs, and they handcuffed me to a hospital bed, and I told them that the naked crime had been committed against me, and they didn't believe me because they thought I was just trying to get out of the handcuffs, which is weird because they weren't arresting me. They probably wanted to, and I kind of sensed that they wanted to arrest me but not help me. So when the police came to grill me while I was handcuffed, spread eagle on a bed, couldn't cover my breasts, couldn't hold myself, couldn't soothe myself, they said, "Tell us what happened," blah blah blah, as if they wouldn't believe me if I didn't. And I chose not to tell them, and they went away. Then I got a phone call. One of the nurses puts the phone up to my ear, and on the phone is the blood lab. They asked me, "Hey hun, is there any chance you might be pregnant?" And I'm like, "No, I'm infertile. I have been since I was 19. And they're like, "Are you sure?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm sure." And they're like, "Okay, well, you're a month pregnant." And I honestly thought I hallucinated that phone call for several months, and I wasn't sure if my period was just missing because I believed it. It was so hard. I was actually pregnant, and I was already pregnant when I got my eyebrow scar. And the person who allegedly gave me the eyebrow scar is the person who created a child inside of me. I, if you know me in person, none of this is to be repeated directly to my child. You can tell her parents. I don't mind her parents knowing this. I'm probably going to send one of them a copy one of these days. But when my child is old enough to know about stuff, it's just one of the things I don't want her knowing about. Because I don't want her to think, here it says, I don't want her to spend a second thinking that she should not have been born because she should have. She is a little miracle, and I don't want her thinking that her genetics come from a monster. So if you're watching this because you actually know me, locally or in person, please never tell my daughter. Never tell her siblings. You can tell her parents. I'm fine with them knowing. I just don't tell them myself because I don't think they'll believe me, and I don't blame them for not believing me. The event that resulted in the conception of my daughter was allegedly just to cover my ass, but it was allegedly non-consensual. And I was in an altered state of consciousness that I could not consent to doing the deed. I was incapable of consent, and I did not consent. 2 days later, someone else allegedly also did the naked crime to me in a different location, and they weren't connected at all. The only thing that was similar about them is the people who allegedly did it were both felons who were homeless and did drugs and sold drugs. I can't remember what I've already said in this take. Here's take 2, but I'm definitely having amnesia, and that's the point of this video, being the actual raw video journal that I'm reading the script from. There are definitely things that are just at the edge of my memory that I know happened already. I know they happened just as a fact, but not as something that I remember. Because I know alters who do remember it, and I can remember them remembering it. I just can't remember it myself. When I make my police report against S, it's going to be hell. I'm scared that the alters who these events happened to will have to testify themselves to the police in the report. Maybe the cops will ask that and prefer that as opposed to a different alter telling it secondhand. I don't know if they care. If I could be overcomplicating this in my mind. But if they do care, it's going to be awkward to begin with because the alters in question are named Crystal Beth with a B and Beth Amphetamine with a B. They're both named Beth. We call one Crystal and we call the other one Beth. Beth is methamphetamine and Crystal Beth is Crystal. You can tell by their names they are about that lifestyle, and they stopped fronting when we got clean. The last time either one of them fronted was November 11th of 2023 after I had my son. The delirium tremens incident that resulted in me temporarily losing custody that I permanently lost in divorce court. But I chose to get treatment instead of going to court. Anyway. November 11th of 2023, after I had my son, I had delirium tremens as a result of alcoholism. I went to the ER in handcuffs, and they put me in a psych ward for however long. The next morning in the psych ward, I woke up, and the first thing that came to my mind is I have got to go to rehab for this alcohol problem. I cannot quit on my own. Delirium tremens is caused by trying to quit on your own. I have a video of me holding and singing to my son in my lap, and I was very clearly sane in this video. And then 3 days later, I'm making false police reports to 911. We're not sure if the alters in question were outright lying on purpose, or if they were literally just out of touch with reality, or if they were having flashbacks to a past event and getting confused about reality. But they made false police reports, and it was a whole kerfuffle, and I had to go to the ER in handcuffs. And thank God I didn't go to prison that day. And then this part's unrelated. I'm going to pause until I can skip past the unrelated bit. So, just to lay down the timeline, I was with S for the majority of 2021. I left him in November of 2021, and I had the baby in January of 2022. Rewind to August 25th of 2021. I got mugged. It was after dark, probably 11:30. I have no idea how long it lasted. It could have been 30 minutes long. It could have been longer. It's a really graphic thing to describe, but I'm looking at this photo I took afterwards. And I know for a fact the MRI I got that I got in 2022 after I had my traumatic brain injury said in August of 2021 I broke my nose. And I'm looking at this photo, and it says to me, broken nose. I can't describe it to you, but I do have a mohawk. I can tell you that much. On August 25th, I took screenshots of a conversation at 11:05 p.m., and then at 12:03 a.m. on August 26th, I took a photo of myself with a broken nose. The broken nose is from getting mugged. I did win back my phone in the end, so he did not successfully mug me. But he wasn't really worried about the valuables. He was just trying to hurt me. I got mugged, so I asked S to come get me. And the reason I was not with him at the time is because in early August, probably around August 2nd, I'm not going to name... I do know the exact date. I'm not going to name the exact date because I don't know how... I don't want you tracking down my ex from this data. I'm going to be taking the proper legal actions myself, and I don't need internet strangers to track down and harass my ex and get in the way. But the first week of August, let's see. The first week of August, I was with S, and we were in Oklahoma. And then back to Texas, and he should not have been leaving the state because he was on parole. And he did not get permission for that trip. But within the first week of August, I left him on his birthday. And that sounds so horrible until I let you know that I tried to leave him for 3 days. And he didn't let me. He didn't let me the first day, he didn't let me the second day, he didn't let me the third day, and then his birthday came around, and he let me. And there was violence against me. There was lots of violence against me in those 3 days. After he gets prosecuted, I will spill the beans on who he is and the exact day he was born, for sure. But all you have to know for now is the first week of August, I left him. And then August 25th is the day I got mugged. August 26th is the day he brought me back to safety. By August 25th, I was looking pretty happy. I shouldn't be happy in that situation, but people who do bad things in relationships will also do very, very good things in the same relationships as well. And it's because of a balance of those two things that is different for each situation and each person. It's a balance of those things that makes people stay, as well as a good dose of isolation. Hold on, let me pause while I skip past this irrelevant part. Okay, September. of 2021, around the 6th or 7th, at 1:26 in the morning. As a result of what happened leading up to 1:26 a.m., right after the photo was shot, the cops started pounding on the door saying, "This is the police, open up." In the previous hour, they had gotten a warrant to save my life. I was naked. That's why I can't show you the photo, in addition to the injury to my face being too graphic to show to on YouTube. On May 9th was when I found out I was a month pregnant, so by that math, in September, I would be... Okay, according to the Google math, I would be 5 months pregnant. Let me skip past an irrelevant bit. Okay. So the police are banging on the door, and in hindsight, they had to lay eyes on me before they could calm down. I ran to the bathroom, not realizing they had to lay eyes on me immediately to calm everything down. I should have just answered the door myself, even though I was naked and covered in what we will call the red human juice, the kind that comes from a broken nose, because S had broken my nose that night. We were at the Landmark Lodge in Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas. And I wish I could contact everybody who was there that day and let them know that I made it out okay. I want to make an ad in the Fort Worth newspaper with a photo of me back then and a photo of me now and how well I'm doing. Letting everybody know I've been doing well, I've been eating well, I quit those drugs, I quit the alcohol, because I lived there for a while before. Yeah, I lived there like 7 months before I met Sean, and I was pretty... I don't know, I left the house a lot, and I would just walk around picking flowers. So people obviously saw me around picking flowers. And then one day I disappear. You know. So I ran into the bathroom, I turned on the shower, and the door is closed. And S opens the door to the front door of the motel. And the officers come in. I think they handcuffed him and breezed past. Then one of the officers was banging on the bathroom door like he was going to break it, saying, "Let me in, let me in, let me in." Thinking there's a second person hurting me in the bathroom, or a second person forcing me to wash off the evidence or something. And I turn off the shower and I start putting on clothes, and he's still banging on the door as I tell him I need to get dressed. And so I open the door, and I'm still half naked and I'm covered in the red human juice. And I said, I just want a cigarette. Can I light a cigarette? And he's like, no. And I say, I'm going to light a cigarette. And he's like, no, don't light the cigarette. And I went to light the cigarette anyway, even though the cops were telling me no. And instead of lighting a cigarette, I ended up in handcuffs. They wanted to take me to the ER without my headscarf, and I told him, I don't care if you put a shirt on me, but you better put that scarf on me. He said, no, we gotta get you out of here. I said, please just get the scarf. And he listened, and I taught him how to tie a headscarf that day, and he did an excellent job. I wish I could track him down, him specifically, and let him know how good of a job he did that day. The cops questioned us separately while I was sitting on the ambulance stretcher, still in handcuffs, but I was at least in my headscarf. They questioned us separately, and I think they questioned S a little bit before they questioned me, but it might have been simultaneously. Anyway, S says she did it to herself, because he always called me she, no matter what. Well, he would say he about alters that he was violent with. But when he was talking to other people about me, he would call me a she. I corroborated his story by saying that I did it to myself by smashing my face against a wall. And you may be wondering if it was so bad that night that the police had to bang down the door with a warrant. Why would you say to them that you did it to yourself? In the maybe 15, 30 minutes leading up to the police arriving with the warrant, because it takes time to get a warrant, in the time it took to get the warrant, S had already chased me around the apartment, pinned me allegedly against the wall, which he allegedly did very often. And this all started because I had told him no to having sex. He initially snapped and pinned me down and smooshed his face against me, and it wasn't a normal kiss. It was like he was trying to repulse me. Then he let go and kept saying, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry," over and over again. I got up and I walked away and was screaming out the top of my lungs, "What the fuck was that?" Screaming the details of what had just occurred, narrating out loud for people in the adjacent motel rooms to hear. Which is what you're supposed to do if your life is being threatened or if you're being assaulted. Is you're supposed to narrate what's going on so that other people know. Let me skip past this irrelevant bit. Alright, so I'm standing not at the foot of the bed, but facing the foot of the bed, and he's still on the bed. And I'm like, "What the fuck was that?" Yelling at the top of my lungs. I forget exactly what happened next, but I do remember he started filming me and asking me why I was acting so strangely on camera, and it was so obvious in his voice that he was lying. It was ridiculous and just made me angrier and angrier and angrier. I forget exactly what happened next, but he ended up charging after me after he stopped filming. I ran to the bathroom, and I initially thought, okay, if I run away from him, he won't get scared and think he has to defend himself. Because that was always his excuse for hurting me, that he had to defend himself. A 6-foot Navy vet had to defend himself from me when I was 126 pounds. Like I said, he would pin me to the wall by my throat all the time. Every time I hit him out of fear for my own safety, he would pin me to the wall by my throat. And I was so scared in the bathroom. I hadn't hit him or anything. I ran to the bathroom, and I thought that would be enough, because it always worked in the past that if I ran away and I didn't hit him during a fight, he wouldn't hurt me. And this time, it didn't work. He ran into the bathroom after me. I climbed onto the toilet and started searching for an air vent to crawl into. But the air vent was on the other side of the bathroom. He's in the bathroom, chasing after me. And he goes like this, towards my neck. Like he's about to reach out and choke me right there and end me. And the way I screamed that night let the neighbors know I thought he was going to end me. And the screaming didn't stop for a while. There's no other photos for the next few days. Let me skip past the irrelevant bit. So he ends up breaking my nose. I'm laying on the bed, and I convinced him to take a photo of me. I told him, "I want to see what I look like from your eyes." And I really convinced him I wasn't doing this nefariously, which I wasn't. I literally just wanted to know why he was acting so strangely towards me. Because everything else had calmed down, and he was still, like, looking at me in horror. And so in this photo, I'm laying down naked on a bed. Then there's just rivulets of red human juice trailing from my face, down my chest, down my stomach, down my, my chest. There's a drip on my thigh. There's just a whisper of a baby bump, because I wasn't really showing much yet. And there's no more photos until September 15th at 4 p.m., where I'm smiling. And I've got a black eye, but I'm smiling. Let me skip past the irrelevant part. Okay, I didn't have to skip far. I shaved off the tails of my eyebrows sometime around the 15th, which made the things I was facing from S even worse, because now he couldn't tell that I was not angry, and anytime I looked angry, he would start the violence in defense of himself, even if I hadn't laid a hand on him, because my eyebrows made him think I was angrier than I actually was, and he predictively thought I was about to attack him, something like smack him or punch him with my little noodly arms. Again, I was 126 pounds, and I'm only 5'4". Um, um, there's, there's some point in the timeline around September where, I ended up with marks on my neck. I can still kind of feel them. I don't know if you can see them on camera, but self-inflicted marks on my neck. And then in October, some point in September, while S was asleep, I went through his phone and sent screenshots of his messages to myself, including screenshots of names and numbers. My cats are going crazy. And also screenshots of him flirting with other people that he met on Grindr, which is where we met. On the 19th, there's photos of me looking at him with love, because like I said, people who do bad things in relationships will also do very good things as well. I missed my cousin's wedding. It was the 19th, and I was off by an hour because of the difference in time zones. And then for the rest of September and October, it's mostly just photos of him sleeping and photos of baby bump progress pics. And it was around this time that S started getting upset that my baby bump was showing, and he treated me differently and could no longer look me in the eye. I did my Halloween costume a day late. I'm pretty sure we were too busy fighting on Halloween to do anything for Halloween. I apparently took pictures of the phone number for his parole officer. I snooped around in his paperwork while he wasn't looking. Damn. Sorry, I'm just... This could have gone so differently. I could be 6 feet under, and somebody else investigating my Google Photos instead of myself as to what happened to me while I was alive. I need a minute. By September, I was snooping around to find phone numbers in his paperwork in his notebook when he wasn't in the room or when he was sleeping, so that it was in my Google Photos already. Like by September, I was planning how to get away from him, and I didn't leave until the end of November. Here's a photo from November 23rd. It's from the video itself. Classic baby bump photo. And sometime after the 23rd, I don't remember exactly what day Thanksgiving was that year, but the day after Thanksgiving, the 25th, 26th, or 27th, my mom drove down after Thanksgiving dinner with my Nana all the way from North Carolina to Texas, where I was, picked me up because I hadn't gotten an ultrasound or any prenatal visits, and she was very concerned, and she was learning about boundaries. And she learned from her therapist that you can't just tell your kids what to do and expect that if it's not happening that it's going to get done just if you yell at them one more time. That doesn't work. You can only control your own behavior. You cannot control others' behavior. So she chose her own behavior. She drove down to Texas and she picked me up, which I had asked her to do in the past. But the difference now was her husband had passed away and he was the one that didn't want me to move back in. So the day after Thanksgiving, she picked me up. She drove me back to her house in Virginia. On November 27th, we had a chance to see the leaves change color on our way up from Texas to Virginia. And then the 28th, I was safe in the Blue Ridge Mountains where I live now. And then Peanut, come here. Come here. I'm talking about you on camera. Come here. Come on. Let's go. Let's go. Right here. Peanut here got attached to me because I was very pregnant. And I broke up with S, and I started saying that Peanut was my boyfriend as a joke because Peanut is attached to my hip. And the inside joke is that he licks up my spit whenever I spit on the ground. I don't spit as much now because I don't smoke cigarettes. New Year's Eve, we had a fireworks party at my mom's house. And then January, the baby was born and she was healthy. She did not have a hypoxic injury from the dozens and dozens of times that Sean allegedly choked me against a wall. There's only a single photo of me holding the baby when she was born because I felt like I didn't deserve her because she was perfect and innocent and didn't deserve the things that I felt I had put myself through. And even her moms will tell you that for the first many months that she was alive, it was like she didn't want to cry very often. Instead, she would just yell at you. And I wish I could tell them a really dark joke, but I'm sure it would traumatize them if I told it to them. But the joke I tell my friends is me and S screamed at each other so much that she didn't know how to cry, she only knew how to scream. And every time she would cry or scream, I would laugh. And it's not because I took pleasure in her pain or anything like that. It was more at the absurdity that this thing that had been inside me was now making noises. And she had been inside me during the worst parts of my recent life, and she was around to make noise. It was also just very strange having your first child, and you never know how you're going to react. But she would yell at me, and I would just laugh because it was funny. I don't know how to describe how funny it was. It was like, kiddo, if you think this sucks, let me tell you about what you and I went through just right before this. But I would never actually say that to her. I just joke around. That she was, because she was the most innocent party, regardless of how innocent I was, she was by default more innocent than I was, because she was unborn. So I do feel guilty to this day for, being in a horrible situation for the entire pregnancy. But I'm going to make things right by going to the police to report him, to the police. Is there anything else? I don't think there's... Yeah, there's nothing else. Yeah, so... That was my first pregnancy. Getting pinned to a wall by my throat. And black eyes and broken noses. And escaping away only to get mugged. And the safest place to go is back to your abuser. Living in the woods during the hottest days of August, while pregnant, because I wanted to get away from him. Hello, Mary. You're a good kitty. I'm talking about stuff that happened before you were born, Mary. Isn't that wild? Isn't that wild? Peanut is not much older than you. And he doesn't get any bigger than you. Yeah. Isn't that wild, Mary? You COVID baby, you, Mary. Yeah, you little COVID baby. I know you don't like being handled, but I have to show you to the camera. Look at my little COVID baby. But yeah, January. It might have been December that I met. Yeah, I think it was like December that I met the parents that adopted my daughter. Two moms, one of which was my science teacher in high school. So she's in good hands, and she's developing well. She's 4. She just turned 4 this January. And I sang her happy birthday over the phone. I'm hungry. I'm gonna eat something. If you watched all this, thank you for hearing my story. This is just part of it. There's going to be more stories to tell. This isn't the one I thought I would tell first, but I just happened to go through Google Photos that night, the 27th, and find out all this stuff happened literally while I was pregnant. I knew that later stuff happened while I was pregnant, but I did not know that I got my eyebrow scar while I was already pregnant. That is wild. And I'm going to be filing a police report very, very, very soon with all the details that I can't share here. I hope I fall asleep soon. I took my meds already, so I should fall asleep ASAP. I need to eat first. When I feel up to learning how to edit, to censor out names and faces, I will post the full video, but this one's the Cliff Notes version. I would say I hope you enjoyed, but there's nothing enjoyable about this. Thanks for listening. I have to make a video of me making a cake because this is video 999, and the next video is the thousandth video, and I want to make a cake for that video. So I'm gonna be turning a box of cake mix into a cake very soon, probably tomorrow, because I'm snowed in and there's nothing else to do but cook. And you know how much I love to cook. Love you. Bye.